So hello guys, welcome back. So we have successfully installed Prometheus and we have a node exporter running in our node, and Prometheus is scraping data and metrics from our node. So it is time for us to install Grafana so that we can have a nice dashboard so that we can monitor that. And installing Grafana really depends on where you install it and what kind of operating system you have. In this case, I am on a macOS system, so I will be installing it on my Mac. But if you follow this link in our documentation, you can have here different instructions for installing Grafana on your operating system. If you are on Linux, if you are on Windows, or if you are on Mac. In this case, I am installing this in my local machine, so I will be monitoring this from my local machine. This is an example. In a real life scenario where you are monitoring your node, you perhaps will want to have like a monitoring server that is monitoring both of your nodes. In this case, I'm gonna just monitor my relaying node, which I have running here. So let me just grab my my terminal. This is a terminal. This is on my local machine, not in my server. Local machine here, and I'm gonna install Grafana here. Let me just grab this command. This is a wget, so I'm downloading an installer, and this is it. I can come here and download the installer. It will take only a few seconds, and then I will uncompress the installer, and that will be basically it for installing Grafana on my system, on my local machine. Let me just uncompress the file. There you go. If I do ls, you can see that here there should be Grafana. So let me go cd Grafana ls. And I want to go here to cd bin. Later I can take care of putting this on my path. But for now, let me just show you that here is Grafana server. This is what we want to launch. But just before we launch, let me just show you something. Let me just come back to my previous directory so I can go to cd-conf ls, and defaults.ini is the default file that I will use for starting the Grafana server, and it's a very long file. Let me just open it with Atom. So there are a lot of configurations that you can do to your Grafana server. I'm just using the defaults for now. The only important thing that I want you to notice here is that I am using the port 3000 and localhost as my domain. So I will use my Internet Explorer, whatever it is. I'm using, in this case, Google Chrome. And I will just connect to localhost on port 3000. So that's where Grafana will be available for me. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you about here. So let me just come here to my previous directory, and let me just go to bin just to show you that there is Grafana server again. So I can run Grafana server and it will run, and as you can see here, when it starts, it should tell you something that is really important at the moment. Yes, this one. This is the configuration. It is loaded from the file that we just saw a minute ago. So you can just have that running. I don't need it to be there. I mean, I didn't close the terminal. I'll just reduce that. I just minimize it. Let me just have it here, this, for the sake of having it present so that we don't forget. And let me just come here to 127.0.0.1 port 3000. And in this case, it will have like the first time you come here, it will have like the default password, which is admin. Later, immediately, it will ask you to update your password, which you can choose and then confirm. There it is. And we have here at Grafana. So the first thing we have to do here, once we have access to Grafana, remember Grafana is running, we need to tell it where to take the data from. Grafana will help us to to make some beautiful graphics and dashboards for the data that Prometheus is scraping from our node. So the first thing we have to tell this is to tell it from where is it going to take the data. So the first thing we have to do here is to add the data source, and for that we need to go here, just choose Prometheus as the default, and we know Prometheus is running at default port also, so it should be like that, should be fine. You can call it Prometheus, it just look fine, and yeah, that looks fine for the moment. Let me just, oh, I have to write it down, yeah. HTTP 127.0.0.1 9090. That should be it. Save and test. Yeah, data is working. Save and test. Okay. So now you can create a new dashboard on your own, or you can basically copy this dashboard that IOHK has developed, which is exactly what I'm going to do now. So let me just come here. Oh, please don't tell me that you have deleted this repo. Open a new tab. Yeah, there's a problem with that link, which I will fix. But just follow the link. It will be fixed by the time you come here. And you can simply grab this entire content. This is the file. This is the configuration, the dashboard that IOHK uses to monitor its nodes. So it is a working one. It's guaranteed to work. So once we have set our data source, we now can come to dashboards, manage, let's say import, and let me just import via a panel JSON, and you can simply copy and paste the dashboard configuration that we have just copied from IOHK. Import via Grafana, import via panel JSON. Yeah, panel JSON, load, and a dashboard or a folder. Let me just say Cardano, and let me just come here and change your ID. Import overwrite. There we go. It will be better if we come here to our data sources. Let me just come from here, data sources, and this one. Which one is the one that is working? Is this one. Let me just come here and edit this name, because in the configuration file that IOHK uses, this is a small p. So it's not Prometheus with capital P, but all in small caps. And if we save this thing and save and test, it's running well. And if we come here to our dashboard again, it should be working. It is Cardano one. And there it is. So just remember this one. When you name your data source, instead of using Prometheus with capital P, you should use Prometheus with small caps on the name, all the small caps. And this is how you set up Grafana. And of course, you can have a nicer view, but one of the reasons for us in IOHK to have this kind of graphics is that these are the kind of graphics that allow you to set up some alerts for your system, so that you can configure some alerts here that give you some emails or notifications when something happens. So, but the thing here is that you can come and, for example, for Cardano last block height, you can come here and edit and use a different kind of graphic. For example, if you use, let me just check here, fields, it's okay, the panel settings, visualization, you can use, like, for example, this is last block height. You could use, like, for example, this kind of gauge, and this will tell you the number of the last block height. So it will show you a different thing. And of course, you can always come here and play around with this kind of fixing or playing around with the size. So this is, for example, Cardano last block epoch. We can also edit this one, and we can also use this, and it is 13. You could use like this one, or even this one, so you can have like a something that is filling up. But that's something that you can play around with, and of course you can always like resize it and put this in a different place, like this one, for example. So you can basically design the password and the dashboard as customized as you want it. So it's not that hard. And just a couple of things to remember: if you are to use the IOHK JSON file that we use for our dashboard, you can come here and let me just edit this one so that it actually directs you to a proper link. And the problem here is that I just have a C before the URL, so it fails. But I will update that. And if you use that just when you are naming your data source here, instead of using Prometheus with a capital P, like is the default, you can use Prometheus with small caps, and it will work together with our JSON file. So, and later on, you can of course configure whatever you want with your dashboard. So that would be it, guys. This is it for